version. So you're just streaming. Oh, I guess we're live, huh? I just saw it
Yes,
go
we are
live.
live. All right. Well, we'll get it started. Clearly, we're not podcasters. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mr. Rent-to-Own Homes show. My name is Dominic Danino, aka Mr. Rent-to-Own Homes. And in this episode, we're gonna talk about rent-to-own homes made easy for agents and lenders. And as usual, I am joined by my trusty partner here, James Brown from Colorado, real estate agent, investor extraordinaire. So welcome back, James. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I got my coffee. I'm ready to go.
Cool. So we wanted to dive deep into or kind of bring this up again. I think we've talked about it briefly in other episodes about how can we make this easier for agents and lenders where they don't have to know everything, right? They just have to know enough, right? And then as we work through the process with them, they just you kind of fill them in, and then they get up to speed as things are coming along, right? And then to simplify it for them to when they're speaking to their clients, right? So how would you do that for somebody who reaches out, an agent or a lender that says, "Hey, I am totally green to rent to own homes. How does this really work, or what's this process like, and how can you help me?"
Yeah. Yeah. We should start with the basics, I guess. So, say you're a lender or you're an agent and you've got a buyer that can't get qualified for whatever reason. Usually for rent to own, it's self-employed people. They've got some money, but they don't, they've been writing off too much on their taxes and not claiming enough income, or they just need a full 2 years income as a self-employed person. So they just need time. That's kind of like the ideal person. So you run across a person like that can't get a loan. So you're dead in the water. They're dead in the water. They can't buy a house. But if they fit the rent to own model, then we'll let them pick out a house and we'll buy it for them. And for you guys as agents and lenders, agents, you get paid upfront when we buy the house for your client. Lenders, there's a potential for you to get two loans out of this, actually. So it's almost even better than a regular transaction where you just get one. So you might be able to get a loan for us as the investor when we buy the house, and then another one for that buyer that can't qualify now in the future. So that's two loans you can line up. So that's kind of the basics. What would you add there, Dom?
Yeah. So I mean, to even make it even simpler for both agents and lenders is somebody that doesn't fit into the traditional lending box,
Yeah.
right? And we know there's a ton of people that don't fit, right? Because lender guidelines tend to be pretty in the box, pretty strict. Yeah, you can get some exceptions here and there, but generally they don't want to go outside of those boundaries, right? So anybody that doesn't fit in that, and the reality is, as a lender myself, when I come across different clients, not everybody is a perfect, like, checks every single box, right? And with traditional lending, whether it's FHA, conventional, no, they got at least 15 boxes you got to check off, right? So yeah, they have 14 of them, but one of them is like, nope, can't do it, just the one, right? And there's varying reasons why that be. Could be job history, type of work, new job, the way they document their income, credit issues, stuff that they didn't know about, right? Stuff that, hey, they got money from somebody, but they didn't document the money or for the down payment or the gift, or it's coming from this. They got varying situations, life stuff, right? Relationship stuff. Hey, we're breaking up, we're getting divorced. Oh no, I want to buy it with my boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, all kinds of varying things, right? Because people don't know that, hey, when they got to buy, they got to qualify for financing, they got to go try to fit in the box, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to stop living my life so I can go fit in the box so I can qualify for a loan. People don't act that way, right? They don't really realize it until they start searching for that opportunity to buy. So simple method is anything that doesn't qualify, right? Or if they've been turned down, right? So they usually the path is go get turned down, right? Or if you know you're going to get turned down, questions that I'm going to ask: why do you think you're going to get turned down, or have you been turned down recently? Now, if you've been turned, you were turned down 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, or over 12 months ago, then maybe you don't. Maybe you may not be turned down now, right? Because things change, right?
Yeah.
So your credit could have improved, your situation or documentation could have improved, right? So I usually ask, hey, in the last 6 months, have you applied for traditional home financing? And they say, no, you haven't. It's like, okay, so why do you think you need rent to own? It's like, well, I don't know. Okay, so we can try to qualify you for traditional financing. See if you do. And if you do, great, right? You just get a mortgage. And if you don't, then we may, we could use rent to own as a plan B, right? So that's kind of the path. And if they tell me, usually they know, or they have an inkling, or they think they know, right? So it's for us as the professionals to kind of probe a little bit more. And sometimes they have misconceptions of, oh, well, I had this medical bill that I didn't pay, so it must be on my credit. Well, things have changed with medical bills, right? Or it may not even show up on your credit, but you haven't checked, right? So there's ways for people to check their own credit for free, and then eventually, if they're going to get financing, they're going to have to use the lender's credit report to double check on that. But at least if you have an idea, you can go find out and get your own credit report. The ones that I tell people not to use is the Credit Karma, because it doesn't give you enough information. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. That's good for knowing, hey, all the accounts that I'm showing on my credit, and then my payment amounts and balances generally, right? But it doesn't give you like a true credit score. Their scoring model is different than for a mortgage lender's model. So there's some free ones out there that you can get. Matter of fact, you probably go directly through the bureaus to the bureaus. So either TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian, and get their own version directly from them. I think you're allowed one per year, or if you've been turned down, then they'll give you one for free. Or you can set yourself up on a credit monitoring with them. You don't have to, but you can, right? So that's a step one. There's a couple of other ones out there. If somebody needs one, they're more than welcome to kind of reach out, and I don't want to state it over publicly here, right? Because I'm not really trying to promote any particular company per se. But if you have that situation, we want to double check. I can give you a company that'll do it for free. They'll give you like a 7 to 10 day free, right? And so you sign up, and then just cancel it after you get the credit report with the score on it. And their scores are pretty close, right? So that's an option, right? And then usually is the income. Then so let's say it's not credit, it's income documentation, new job, just started, relocated, change industries, right? So a lot of people don't realize when you change industries, the lenders or the banks look at you differently, right? It's like, well, yeah, you were an engineer before, but now you're a real estate agent. Well, total different industry, right? I don't know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now wait, you gave up the 6-figure salary to become a real estate agent, and now you're gonna have variable income because you're 100% commission based, right? Or something that's a traditional job, and say you're 100% sales, and it's 100% commission, or a small base salary with commission, right? So they look at that kind of income differently. Or hey, I quit my job because I'm going to be a solopreneur, right? And I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to be a consultant, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Okay, but do you have a track record of that, so we can, right? Because the banks are looking for predictability of payment, right? That's what they're looking for. And they're very risk adverse. And so if you're not in the box, they shy away. They kind of clamp up and like, oh no, we don't want to take that chance. We don't want to risk us. Right? The banks aren't in the business of taking back houses, right? They're in the business of collecting payments and collecting interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So otherwise, they'd be buying all houses, right? But then you see the banks with the big buildings in every corner of every city, right? There's a reason why they're there, because they're collecting money on interest, right? That's their method. Anyway, so it could be credit, job situation, and then down payment is an issue for people, whether they have it, don't have it. Somebody's going to give it to them, or it's coming from a source. Some people say, hey, can I borrow for my down payment? Well, yes and no, right? No, if it's going to be your primary residence and you're borrowing with new debt, right?
Yeah.
Now, could it be, hey, I have a home equity, or I'm sorry, I have already a house that has a lot of equity. I'm going to get a home equity on that equity of my house to use as a down payment for my next house. Okay, then you are borrowing, but that's allowed, right? That in that situation. But unsecured borrowing from family members or friends. Now, doesn't mean you can't get money from family members. Family members can give you a gift, and and you have to provide a gift letter. The gift letter from the gifter has to say, "Hey, they don't have to repay me."
Yeah.
Right? That's what a gift is. Gift isn't but you have to pay me back. No. So a gift is possible. People can use money from their IRA, 401k. People don't even realize that they can borrow from their 401k or use money from the IRA without a penalty to buy their primary residence. Right? There's no penalty. Now there is, you will have to pay tax, but there is no penalty, right? Because if it's in the IRA or 401k and you pull out that money and you liquidate that money hasn't been taxed, right? It's you get a tax deduction generally for those, but you will pay the tax, but you won't have to pay the penalty. So now in a 401k, if you borrow, because you could have a 401k that allows you to borrow, and that's not considered income because you can borrow against your 401k,
Yep.
and your employer is going to take that payment out for that loan because you borrowed it from yourself, which is a good thing, right? I mean, you're paying yourself back, and the interest goes back into your account anyways, right? So you could borrow from yourself, and that payment gets deducted out of your check each week from your employer if your custodian is set up for you to borrow from your 401k. So you can do that, right? And then there's no penalty for that, other than the fact you got to pay it back, right? And if you don't end up paying it all back, then let's say you borrow 50,000, you've been paying, and then after 25,000 you've paid back, then you leave that job and you don't replenish that 25 that's still left over, then you'll end up getting taxed on that, right? But if you stay and pay it all through, or pay before you leave your job and transfer, then there's no consequences from a tax standpoint there. So there's multiple methods, and then the reality is it's about having the conversation, getting that particular individual situation, asking the right questions to see how we can solve the problem, right? Because that's really what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
We're solving for problems here.
Exactly.
So to simplify it back to the original question is, how do we make it easy for agents and lenders to understand without them having to kind of know everything? Is, hey, anybody that doesn't fit in the box, and if they've been turned down by a lender, they can potentially qualify or fit into the rent-to-own program. Now we're going to vet them the same, right? We're going to vet them and find out, okay, well, what is the real reason, right? We're just not going to take their word for it. So we can just get the documentation from the other lender, or the borrower or the individual that wants to buy. It's just going to provide duplicates of what they provided their other lender. That's fine. We can just double check the information and see what they qualify for, right? One thing we aren't going to do is put somebody in $1 million house if they can't afford $1 million house.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they're set up to succeed. But that's kind of basic starting point, right, for agents and lenders. And you want to talk about how we can make it easy for them as it relates to being able to market and offer rent to own to their clients or their followers or their database, whatever that may be, right? So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, we've got graphics that we can share. We can co-brand some stuff if you want, or you can just keep it your branding. So we've got stuff that we can share with you, so you can go out and market to those types of buyers. Facebook, wherever, email.
Yeah, and I tell people, it's like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Just, I mean, we do a lot of marketing and posting on social media, so just repurpose what we do, right? We'll give you permission to repurpose what we do. Just share it. So if it's a reel, you can share it onto your stories or copy it, and then just embed your own name on it and your contact info on it. Yeah, hey, I have this rent-to-own program just like this. Call me, Susie Agent or Joe Agent at whatever your phone number is, right? Or your email. Phone number is probably the best because that way people can get a hold of you, right? And that's all you're doing, just embedding your name and phone number to get your followers or people that see your marketing contact you, because we want them to contact you. We don't want them necessarily direct going to us. We do our own marketing and we get direct people coming to us, right? But the purpose is to help more agents and lenders kind of do more business, because you guys have your own database, your own clients, right? And so out of whatever your database, let's say you have 1,000 people on your database that you've worked with over the years, then there's going to be some people in there that are probably going to fit this and give you the opportunity to capitalize on a client today versus down the road, right? They may be gone down the road. So and it just kind of fosters a good what's the word I'm looking for here? Testimonial. It's a testimonial that you can use for your own marketing, right? Where you were able to get somebody into a house when they were just told no by somebody else.
Totally.
Right? You use that testimonial. If you're not doing testimonials, agents and lenders, you're missing out. That's a valuable thing for your marketing to generate other people, because people see the proof of concept that you were able to help somebody, right? So 30-second testimonials nowadays with your phone, just record something real quick. Hey, how did it go? Are you happy that you got in, right? Is it true that you got turned down by another lender and they said, no, you couldn't get it, but we still were able to get you into the house today? Yep. You excited? Here's your keys. The family's happy. The pets are happy, right? You can use that as your own marketing and repurpose that and share it with your community, with your client base, of how you were able to help somebody.
Yep. Yeah. I think rent-to-own buyers are even more grateful because they were turned down.
Yeah. It's disappointing to people to be told no when they're excited about the opportunity to say, hey, I want to find a place where I can settle down, right? I want to have a home, right? It's different when you feel like it's your place versus somebody else's place.
Totally. Yep.
Right. And you can make it your own. You can decorate it how you want, right? You don't have to go get permission from the landlord or the property manager or whatever. It's like, hey, I want to do the landscape, and I want to put my pots in the back and grow some, I don't know, vegetables or whatever, right? I want to do something. I want to plant some trees or do whatever you want, or redecorate, or I want to change change the closet, or put different kind of hangers or shelves, right? Shelves in the kitchen and stuff, like whatever you want to do, right? So we give you the opportunity to do that too on our rent-to-own program. As long as there's no impacts to the structure of the house, we want it. We want you to make it your own, or we want the clients to make it their own, because we want it to feel like a home.
Yeah. One big thing that comes up all the time is pets. People have, maybe large dogs and they can't rent a place, or maybe it's a Rottweiler or a pit bull or one of those that are, on the no-go list in some cities. This is the only option, right?
Yeah, it's tough for people with pets in apartments, right? And then not only is it tough, maybe they don't even let you in, but then even if they let you in, You have the additional pet fees and
Yeah.
this fee and that fee, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Same thing with if you rent out a house, right?
Yeah.
You still charge you pet fees and so forth, right? So as a matter of fact, one of the ones we did back, I did one back in 2019. Gentleman, he had like 4 large dogs. Now the house that he got, or we were able to get him in, had a big yard, no pool, but a big yard, and he was happy as heck because he had his 4 dogs, big dogs, right? So most landlords don't want any part of that,
No.
right? So he got his 4 dogs in there, and they had plenty of room to run around in and kind of keep them happy and whatnot. So so if you're a pet owner, this is a big plus if you can't get into a if you don't qualify for traditional financing. So yeah, definitely one of the selling points.
Yeah.
Talk about the opportunity to kind of share this agents or brokers for their office.
Yeah. So Dominic and I can come in person into your offices and share what these programs are, what they aren't, and how you guys can benefit and how you can help clients. So, because there's a lot we can dive into, like we've done multiple shows about all this, but we have these presentations that are concise, an hour or so that everybody's on board. And I was going to mention too, it's nice to have, like, if you guys have a preferred lender, if you're an agent or a brokerage, have them come, because we're all in this together, putting these deals together. So the more people that know about it, the better, and you
Yeah,
might be a high producing, I was just going to say, well, you might be a high producing agent and you're like, I don't have time to work with a rent-to-own buyer. Well, that's a referral, but everybody needs to know the opportunity and how we can work together to know that it's something,
Yeah, 2 great points you brought up, and it kind of leads me to saying, if you're a team, right, and some people that have teams that or brokers offices that are split up, and this side handles buyers, this side handles listings, right, or sellers, right? If you're split up in that kind of fashion, everybody should know about it. Yeah, even the people that say, hey, well, I only handle listing, I don't handle sellers. Well, yeah, that's great, but if you don't talk to us, you won't find out that we're able to potentially buy that listing from you. If we find somebody that fits our criteria, we'll buy that listing from you. So is it now is so after me saying that, now you're interested, right? You should be, right? Because an
Yep.
opportunity to sell that property. So don't close
Mm-hmm.
your eyes to thinking, okay, well, it's just for buyers. It's just for buyers. Well, we have a method. We have a couple of ways to kind of help you market your listing as well to potential rent-to-own buyers, right?
Yep.
Doesn't mean your seller is going to do the rent-to-own. It'll be us doing the rent-to-own. We'll just buy the property from you
Yep.
or from your seller.
Opens up that many more potential buyers and buyer leads.
Absolutely. And then the other part is so if you're an agent and you have a preferred lender, invite them to the presentation as well. Yeah, right. So you're probably wondering, if you're an agent, it's like, well, okay, how does that help them, right? Well, it helps them, but let me talk first of how it helps you, because they may have leads that you didn't send them, right? Because your lender is probably marketing also to generate direct to buyer leads, right? So they didn't necessarily all come through you, right? All their business may not just come all of it through you, right? So they may have leads in their pipeline that are rent to own potentially, and then they could give those to you, and you could potentially collect a commission on those if they fit our criteria, right? If we put them on our program, then we could get you paid on those. So yeah, so inviting your lender is important, because you're going to work hand in hand and say, hey, go through your pipeline, see if anybody fits in this, because potentially we can have somebody.
Yeah.
And as it relates to lenders, right, as to how they get paid, well, obviously, if they're not licensed agents, they can't get paid a commission. But however, but these are people that you want to have ready to go. And so, as part of the rent-to-own program, we're just going to direct them back to that lender because they're going to need an exit loan, right? They're going to need to get a loan, maybe in the 6 months, 12 months, 18, 24, or 36 months, whatever that may be, right? So your lender, if your lender's in for the long haul, not only do they need loans today, but they're going to need loans next year and the year after that and the year after that, right?
Yep.
So this is a way to have somebody already built-in loan ready to go. And if your lender also works with investors, that's another niche that we work with as well, is lenders that work with investors, because investors are looking for properties for cash flow purposes, right? So if you're a lender that works with investors, that's potentially somebody that could be a fit with us, and we kind of talk on the side about that. We won't dive into that right now. We just want to address agents looking for buyers or agents that have listings to be able to offer it to more buyers in this market, especially as days on market continue to get longer and longer, and as we're heading into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I had a lender reach out to me saying, "Hey, I think I have a client that's got a bankruptcy here, and that would probably be a fit for something like this, right?" So see, a lender sees the opportunity to say, "Hey, let's help them now," and then once they're ready to go and cleaned up their credit, or the situation has, their seasoning that's required for the bankruptcy is expired, we can get them into either an FHA or conventional loan, or whatever that may be.
Yeah. There's a lot of rabbit holes we can go down on this show.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do that when we're doing the presentation. Now, you talked about going into their office or doing it live. Yes, we do that too. But if somebody, we could also do it on a Zoom, right? We can also, hey, you got people spread out all over the state, or you have, as part of a brokerage, and you have people that's like, hey, I'm over here, I'm over there, or wherever that may be. It's like, hey, let's schedule, just like you do your Zoom. Say if you have a meeting that you do and you have to do a Zoom because not everybody's physically close to the office, then we can schedule it the same way and do the presentation or talk about it on a Zoom and have all your people on there.
Yeah. Most of the time I'm doing my Zooms.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like we're doing now. I mean, we're doing it live, but generally, it's like one thing one good thing that came out of COVID was the ability to do business virtually, right? And getting everybody accustomed to be able to do it if necessary. Mm-hmm. Sure, it's good to meet face to face and shake hands or whatever, but sometimes it's just not feasible, right? Yeah. And we do work with people from around the country too. So it's not like I can be in Florida tomorrow necessarily, right? If I have somebody that's in Florida or Texas or Georgia or any of the other markets that, so Vegas or wherever, Southern California, right? I mean, I could get to those places in a day, right? Or 4.5 hours basically, but generally, right, if you're in a state or a location, hey, let's just do it by Zoom.
Yep.
No big deal, right? Yeah. However business needs to get done, we'll get it done, right? It's about finding solutions and not just looking for obstacles.
Yeah.
All right. Any additional ways that you think you can help agents or lenders? We talked about presentations. We talked about simplifying it. What other ways could we help? We talked about marketing.
Yeah. We talked about listings, leveraging listings.
Yep. To generate more leads and or sell their listing.
Yep. Those are the top ones I can think of.
Yeah. I say for agents and lenders, you could also use it as being the to-go person, right? Yeah. The to-go person on this, right?
Yep.
We talked about niching down, especially in the real estate space. Like if you have the ability to niche down and specialize in something, if you could become the rent-to-own expert in your office or in your market,
Mhm.
right? You're targeting that audience and targeting that audience, right? By doing so, you're actually standing out from the crowd because nobody else is doing it, right? You're going to be unique. You're going to be blue ocean, as we say.
Yep.
Yeah. So think about that. If you're somebody that's like, hey, I haven't figured out my niche or where should I go? A lot of newer agents. I see. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups where agents are out there or new lenders are out there. It's like, hey, I know, what am I doing? Who's my target? How do I market? Well, I think this is perfect for new agents or new lenders that are trying to figure out what their niche is going to be, right? Because if you're doing high-end homes, you can't. It's difficult to do high-end homes and first-time home buyers at the same time. You're working with investors and, let's say, people that are new, they're looking for new builds, right? Two different avatars. All of those are different
Mhm.
avatars of people, right? If you're working for out-of-state clients versus, hey, I don't know, entry-level clients, or right, or relocation programs, so there's an avatar you got to niche down to kind of, yes, you're not going to, doesn't mean you're going to turn down other business that comes along, but generally you want to be an expert in the particular um, audience, with a particular audience or avatar, to kind of uh, be the go-to person for that, right?
Yep.
You're not going to be for everybody. You shouldn't try to be for everybody, right? You're going to attract the people that want to work with you, but you got to figure out what that is, right?
Right.
We talked about being the divorce expert, right? In the real estate space, right?
Yep.
Either as an agent or a lender, there's opportunities there. If you've been divorced or you've been through that, hey, you can speak to it well, right? How the challenges of that and so forth. So people are going to relate to that because other people that are going through that, right?
Totally. Yep.
So use that experience as a way to niche down to kind of generate your core business.
Mhm.
You want to plug the book?
Do I have it around? I've got a book on divorce and specifically the dealing with real estate around that as well. So if anybody has questions about that
Yeah,
world, I mean,
let's talk about that, right? How did you come about that, or how did you end up writing that book, or where did that idea come from?
um, it was just a need, a lot of a lot of people go through divorce, what, 50% or something like that. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so yeah, if you want to get a copy of that book, James could get it out to you, right? And then if you could be the divorce expert in your marketplace, right?
yeah, yeah,
There's a big need for it, definitely.
yeah, go to that Linktree/partner with James Brown and hit me up.
All right. Any final thoughts here?
Nope, that's all I can think of offhand right now.
All right, excellent. So you just mentioned how people can get a hold of you. They want to work with you, have questions, potential clients, creative ideas, right? You're more than willing to share ideas. If somebody says, hey, I got this situation, like, how do I market? We kind of brainstorm constantly, you and I, as
Yeah,
to you're trying to target a particular particular buyer in the complex that you have a listing on, right? How do we get a hold of people that are in there that may be interested, or know somebody that may be interested, right? We talked about that. How to source lists, how to target lists, where can you get a list from, right? And ways to kind of reach out to people,
yeah,
right? So that's what we do. Try to give you solutions. Uh, yes, we may not have all the answers. We have a lot of them, but we may not have all the answers. But if we don't, we can at least point you in the right direction, because we are constantly networking, and we have people in the industry that are doing a particular thing that may be somebody that could help you find a solution.
yeah.
So, all right, well, that's all for this week. Uh, Thank you all for joining us on the Mr. Rent-to-Own's Home Show. Again, my name is Dominic Danino, aka Mr. Rent-to-Own Homes. If you want to get a hold of me, you go to our website, rent2ownhomesus.com. I am also on Instagram and TikTok at Mr. Rent-to-Own Homes. And also you can reach me on my email and phone number in my bio. Also on Mr. Rent-to-Own Homes on YouTube. So until next week, see you then. Bye-bye.